love, and I actually do, and I think you do too, and my son Finstock does too. We listen. So there are two fans that started. It was Ryan and Paul. They started the Schmoeville podcast.
Yeah,
and they put it up on the podcast channel. They recap everything that's happening. It's like the Baba Boohai.
Yeah.
It's like the
Baba
after
Booey.
show, like everything that's happened in the week.
Yeah.
And they were going back and they listened and they said, well, I went back after Harloff talked about The Conjuring, and I watched to see if Bakuga got freaked out, and I looked, but I think he overshot it a little bit. You had a big old shit in your pants. Ryan and Paul, I love you, but you're dead wrong, motherfuckers.
You're dead wrong, motherfuckers.
Welcome to Schmoeville, that podcast that's all about our Schmoes, Christian Harloff and Mark Ellis, and what it's like to be a fan of those guys. I'm Ryan Snelling.
And this is Paul Wolf, back in the saddle again.
Wait, you're back, Paul?
Hey, you know what? I'm not
not
Aerosmith, nor do I claim to be, but I am back in the saddle again.
I was going to say, I don't think I know what that means, but I follow now.
Get out. Get out. You're done. You're out. Who's up next? Anybody? Come on in.
No. Okay, well, that's a great segue, because if something happens to me and you do kick me out of this hangout, we have a guest here that can fill my shoes. It's Anne LeCouter. How are you?
Hello, Schmoeville. Hi, guys. How are you today?
I'm great. Fantastic. I'm really glad that you're here, because
so am I.
I don't think this podcast would exist without you. Is that fair to say?
It would be like a militant offshoot, maybe, of the Schmoes Show. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that somewhere along the line, Schmoeville had a hand in something. So
absolutely, I'm happy to talk with you, because our listeners are very aware that I'm a noob when it comes to being a fan of Schmoes. So I'm very excited to get to know you here on the show. And well, Paul, did you see that people are calling us noobs? Because we don't.
Well, I will call myself. I'll be on record and say I'm a top-seeded amateur noob. So I've been involved. I've seen and been involved in watching them for a while, but not not phase 1, 2, or I think I came in mid 3, a little bit into 4. So I'm a quasi noob, if you will.
I actually that is an absolutely fair criticism. Like when someone says, I don't know how I feel about listening to noobs host this show. That is honestly an absolutely fair criticism, because I know that if I was listening to a Schmoeville podcast, I would probably want seasoned fans. With that being said, there are a lot of people that are just now joining in on this group, on what Christian and Mark are all about. I mean, every day they get a new fan, so I appreciate everyone's perspective. That's why we build things like the time capsule segment into our show and have guests like Anne on here. So,
and that's exactly what I did for today's show. Is I immediately, when I read that post, to be honest with you, this comment really drove me to get an original and try and get somebody in the past who's been there before, just like Leanne and just like our time capsule that you guys will stick around for later. Nice little hook there. So that's kind of what I did to try and amp that up a little bit. So thank you, trolls, for motivating us, and let's get going.
Thank you, trolls. I love it.
I'm not sure if that's technically trolling, but that's
no, it's not. It's not.
So yeah, Leanne, I think from what I do know of you, you're considered like OG, like one of the first fans, right? Is that accurate?
I am. You know what? I'm very close to being one of the first fans. I mean, I came in a little tiny bit after it, but it's like the early Toad Hop days. After they were done doing it from Christian's apartment, and then they moved on, and then they hit Toad Hop, and it was all of a sudden it was just like, here are these guys, and wow, this is kind of fun. This could definitely be different. So it's it's 4.5 years now.
So how fat was Ellis when you were watching it?
You went there.
You did go there. No, Ellis is he's definitely slim, and he definitely goes for the popcorn, in the movies and stuff. But no, he was quite svelte at the time.
Yeah, he's skinny now, but I think he's a fat kid at heart, because
everybody is. Everybody is. Every single day is Pizza Friday, man. Just remember that.
Well, it's good to know that we've got one of the first timers here. But I was going to call you Patient Zero because we were talking about last week. Me and Luke were talking about how we wonder if there's like fan fatigue because there is so much content to absorb every week with these guys, and it was probably a lighter load back in your day. But you've also been accumulating more years of it, right?
It's when it first starts, when you're first seeing the little things. I mean, and don't forget they had people, famous people on, if you will. They had like Sean Astin on and everything. This I hate to say it this way, this cute little podcast, and it exploded, and it's just progressively getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it went from being one of those things that, oh yeah, well I gotta catch the Schmoes, to, well yeah, the Schmoes are coming on, to, oh my God, I have to be here to watch this. You know what I mean? So it's definitely one of those things that kind of takes over your life because there is so much content and so many things that they're doing that you just want to keep up with them at all times.
Absolutely. I'm more familiar with Xander. We had Xander on the show a couple weeks ago.
Xander!
Yeah.
Love Xander.
So I want, since I know very little about what you've done for us, I would love to hear sort of how you got involved with any of it, whether it be the Facebook group or whatever, and what your role is with that.
Well, I come from a planet far, far away, and just kind of start from there and take it. But no, it's funny because I was a huge fan of Battlestar Galactica, and when you are a fan like that, and you see the different people in the show and everything, you instinctively want to see like different interviews and stuff that they do. And I thought Katie Sackhoff was amazing on the show, and I saw that she was like kind of part of these guys, and I had no idea who these guys were. And I like looked her up, and I found them by happenstance, and I listened to one of their things, and I was like, okay, they're kind of funny. And it kind of went from there. And then since I'm a teacher, I have summers off. And my mom she had broken her shoulder, so she had to go to therapy and on Thursday mornings. And that's when the show was on Thursday mornings. It was so funny, and it was just so wild and off the cuff, and just I hate to say you didn't expect anything, but it was just a really good program. Right. So I just kept going with that, and then they had a Q&A session that the fans could submit questions and everything. And I think it was right around the Labor Day show of 2012, and they had a contest, a Photoshop contest, and I teach design. I'm a graphic designer, so I entered the contest, and the prize was a Hobbit poster of all things. And I entered the contest, and a ton of people entered this thing, and they chose which one they thought was the best, that would have both of their pictures and Katie's picture and Catherine Reitman's picture on it. And mine won. And it's like all of a sudden from that moment, like it kind of turned into Christian would get in touch with me, and he'd be like, hey, do you want to design a splash for us for this week's show? And this is who we're going to have on. And it kind of went from there, and it just grew from there. So it was, once a week twice a week, I would just get with him and say, hey, what's going on this week? What are you doing? Who's going to be on? That kind of thing. And it just kind of evolved. It turned into like a mass thing that I started doing for them, and everything else just kind of took flight.
So you've been in contact with Christian for like several years now.
Yeah, since September of 12.
Do you ever talk to Ellis at all? Is there ever any interaction between you?
I do. Yeah, I actually do. I mean, Ellis and I will go back and forth. If he, has any questions, I did a couple of things for him for his comedy thing. As far as like, can you do this like a little splash screen for me? So I did a couple things for him. He's such a doll. He really is, and he just, he is, and he just, he'll pop on and he'll be like, hey, and he always calls me Queen because they're the ones who coined the Photoshop Queen of Schmoeville. So he'll always greet me with, hey, Queen, what's going on? And I'll always greet him back with, still haven't come to New Jersey yet, don't talk to me. So it's just, it's a great friendship with people that I've never met before. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It does definitely seems like brother or sister almost with that. It's kind of crazy again, and you haven't met him yet. I mean, that's also amazing too.
If I ever had a younger brother, I would hope he would be like him, like Ellis, because he's just such a funny, great, genuine guy. He really is.
This all just makes me wonder why Christian hasn't been able to get your last name right after all these years. Do you want to set the record straight now that he's listening? You got him here. How do you pronounce your last name?
It is pronounced LeCouter. Like Xander, I have ties to Canada. My father's family was from New Brunswick, and it's apparently a very popular name up there. But if I can say this with all love and affection to Christian, he's such a ball buster with that. And he purposely says it wrong. And somebody actually, I think, called him out on it one time and turned around to him and said, "You're saying her name wrong." And he goes, "I know how to say her name." And I'm like, dude, just let him go. He's fine with it. I don't mind. Hey, believe me, my name has been butchered more than any 20 names in the English language.
That's hilarious. Did you just ring the bell, Paul?
That was accidental. My apologies.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, damn. I was going to say, what, I've been voted off the island already?
No, of course not.
Damn.
I do like how this is kind of formed into our time capsule segment. I know we can kind of go out of order with this, but I mean, you brought up the Katie Sackhoff. Yeah. Well, you brought up her being on the show, but not necessarily the podcast, right? Or did you mean the podcast?
I had seen the first show. That was like the first show I'd seen, because when I was looking around, I actually found that one. And and then when the first time I was actually able to get through calling, she was on the show.
Oh, sweet.
So it was the James Bond episode, because Skyfall was getting ready to come out. And I actually got through, because the thing about Toad Hop is you could never get through. You could never get through on the phone. It would just ring and ring and ring and ring and ring. And I finally got through. So it was like, oh my God, not only am I talking to these guys who I basically talk to weekly, but I get to talk to Kate, say something to Kate as well, which is kind of cool. And it was like a cool, moment, if you will.
Absolutely. I mean, I share that with just how I felt meeting Ellis. Like, it was very similar, and I don't mean to rub it in because you haven't met him, but like,
he won't come to New Jersey, dude. He just won't.
I think I mentioned this on last week's podcast with Luke, but I think I ended up cutting it out because it was out of nowhere. But I mean, I give Ellis a ton of credit, because I'm kind of a noob now. When I met him, I was like really a noob. Like, we were still, Phase 6 hadn't started yet. I had only known the Schmoes really from Collider. I had seen all their movie reviews, but never seen the Schmoes Know Show. So I knew literally nothing about this person now that I think about it, and I thought I did. And I'm kind of relating this back to this episode, their first episode with Katie, because they were always good. They were always good at podcasting. When I was going back and listening to the show, and I was so jealous, because I'm like, yeah, my first interview with Ellis sucks ass. Because I didn't know anything. I mean, I asked him if he had any impressions. And I feel so stupid that I asked him that, because if I had watched the show, at all, I would have known that he's got incredible impressions. Not as good as Christian, but just little things like that.
His comedy routine is like, his Get to the Castle is one of the funniest things I've ever listened to, and it never fails that it always pops onto my iPod when I'm running on the treadmill. And I almost run off the treadmill because I just start laughing, because it inevitably is when he says "ye old tit shack" at the end, I just lose it. I mean, he's just a very funny guy. His Alf impression is ridiculous. It is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. It really is. When they do these impressions, I mean, like, look, nobody can touch Harloff with Arnold. I mean, right. When they did an episode where it was Arnold, it was Alf, and it was what was his name? He was doing Tony Danza, and it was and I can't think, his name is just totally blanking on me. I'll think of it in a minute. But they did this whole thing, and you're just screaming laughing when you're watching this. It's so funny, because you're tweeting at the same time, going, "Oh my God, is anybody else catching it? Because this is so funny right now." Right. And it's just, and that's how kind of like the little Schmoeville was kind of getting born, because we all used to tweet together, and we would be going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with all of these things. And it's like, did you hear Ellis's, Alf imitation? Did you hear Ellis do the dragon noise? He did a dragon noise. Him and Katie Sackhoff did a dragon noise. And it was one of those things because it was the one episode, the Labor Day episode, where she had gone to not Comic Con, but Dragon Con, and Ellis came out with a dragon noise, and she came right back with a dragon noise, and it was like dueling dragon noises, and it was just so funny, and it's like, you know, and that was the famous Peach Fuzz episode, which was just fall on the floor laughing. And it truly became one of my favorite episodes ever because I'm like, oh my God, you did not just say that on the air. He made this lovely little comment how Katie had this like wallpaper sample of stormtroopers and Darth Vader, and it was fuzzy. It was like a fuzzy surface. Mm-hmm. And she said, I'm putting this in my powder bath. And Ellis said, you can feel peach fuzz in Katie Sackhoff's powder bath. And it just went off the rails from there. And you're like, oh my God, he did not just say that. So but this is what you're dealing with Ellis. That's what he comes up with on the fly, with things like that.
I think for me, he did Bill Cosby, though, and I haven't heard him do that on Collider or anything yet, but that was really funny. And the thing about Get to the Castle is that, yes, that's funny, but that came out like 4 years ago. Yeah. When I saw him this past January, he's like way funnier.
Oh yeah,
but to like hear that progression, so it's awesome. Yeah. Like
he keeps it fresh, which is really great because you know you have some comedians that just they go by their old playbook. I'm going to do the same thing over and over and over, and he just keeps getting better and better and better with it. He's very, very funny.
Paul, get in here. What do you think about the first episode with Katie Sackhoff or whatever?
Well, I kind of, again, going back to, by the way, yeah, I'm still here. I'm enjoying listening. That's pretty much the cool part. Like, I'm listening to a really good conversation. So I chose this episode again because of the fact of the noob comment, and I thought, with all these firsts coming out, having Leanne on the show and having Sinead and Ashley on the show for the first time, and all these first make me missing the first show I've ever missed. And so I kind of thought, let's go back to the first episode. And I thought, when I was watching it, I actually was tweeting back and forth with Christian about it, and he thought that was a pretty cool idea, and he called it the birth of the Schmoes Show. And I can see that. It was really great to see at the very beginning him in his, I don't know what room he was in, but he was in his room at the very beginning, and I immediately related to it because I'm an online teacher and I teach from home, and I completely this is exactly what I do, and that's exactly what they did. And so I completely related to that, and I was like, this is really cool. So look where they were, so look where they are. And then when they dove into the podcast with Katie, I soaked it all in because it really does feel almost like what we're doing. And, it's just seeing the progression from 2011 to now, just unbelievable how, impressed they've gotten in all facets. They got the right people behind them. They got everything put together, with Collider eventually, and just seeing where they were to where they are now is awesome. And going back to that very first one with Katie, I just thought it was really cool because they worked together. They got the background of how they got hooked up a little bit with Katie, and it almost seemed like Katie was what Tiffany Smith is now almost, because I saw an episode that it was almost like the title of it was passing the torch to Tiffany. So it almost seemed like if Katie kept going, she might still be on the show now. If her
schedule had allowed it. It's the thing is that right as she was doing this, she had Longmire in there.
Right.
And the problem with it is that she's gone 4 or 5 months to do that. So it was, they were bringing Tiffany in, and, because Katie actually, she was a really good co-host for it because she was never afraid to just go right back at them. The three of them had such a great rapport, and it made it very interesting to listen to. Okay. Because she has the knowledge that she has within the industry, which is very cool. Christian has his knowledge, Ellis has his knowledge. And every one of them worked great. That first show, like you guys said earlier, it's hard to believe that was the beginning of what they were doing because it just, with the exception of minor, sound, it sounded awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just a really great show. And then when she did pass it to Tiffany, Tiffany, she's a great co-host. She really is. She's very, very knowledgeable. And she's, we always have to keep a girl in there somewhere because it kind of keeps these guys on balance, which is, probably why Sasha does such a good job. Sasha's my hero. I mean, she just says what she thinks, and that's awesome to me. But they managed to surround themselves with really good people in the industry, which is awesome.
Since you brought up Tiffany, I said previously on one of our podcasts that Tiffany is my crush. Paul has said that Miri is his crush. Leanne, I'm curious, who is your crush on the Schmoes Know crew?
Oh my God.
Personal questions relatable, yes.
This is as personal as it will get, I promise.
Here's the funny thing. It's like you can pick characteristic of each one of the guys that you would say, yes, he would be awesome to, chat with, and he'd be awesome to drink with. I mean, God, if I was actually going out to, get completely hammered with somebody, I'd pick, Makuga, because he's just that fun. My personal crush, oh my God. Honestly, I love Riley. I really do. Yeah. I think Riley is wonderful, and he is such a decent gentleman. He really, truly is, and he'd probably listen to this and be like, "Oh my dear God in heaven, what are you saying that about me for?" But no, he's a good guy. Every single one of these guys, I mean, I can't stress enough. I think the world of these guys. They are just good people. They really and truly are, and I'm very, very protective of them. And that's why I don't put up with any shit in Schmoeville, if you will. But I would say if I had to, I guess I would pick Riley. Don't tell him that. Oh my God.
Too late now. It's out there.
How embarrassing. I love you, Riley. Christian's gonna be like, wait a minute, what?
Why did you pick me? No.
Important, Ken. I love Ken too. I mean, I love all of these guys. So it's.
I was gonna say, you talk about a gentleman. I mean, you got Ken Knapsack. I mean, he's the man too.
Oh, Kenny is amazing. He really is, and I love that he's very self-depreciating, but he is just one of the best guys that I've ever spoken with. Honestly, he's just a good, decent guy.
Well, now that we've been blowing all the guys on Schmoes Know here, let's get to our.
That's awesome.
Let's go to our regular scheduled programming. Let's get to this week in Schmoeville. Not a lot stands out to me. I mean, it was just another great week in Collider. Yep. I don't think I watched any of their movie reviews. I actually saw Keanu, but I haven't seen their movie review yet. I'm interested in seeing what they said about Mother's Day, even though they kind of did that.
I just read a review about that and it got really bad reviews.
I got the gist. To believe me, I don't need to see any reviews on it. I got the gist.
Wow.
I think the biggest thing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the biggest thing to talk about is Harloff Minor. I mean, this is crazy stuff here, right?
I was bragging about that to my students. I was literally. I am not kidding. Because I teach high school kids. Mm-hmm. And I've got a lot of Star Wars geeks in my classes. And I was like, I got to brag about this, guys. Somebody that I'm friends with is now Star Wars canon.
Yeah.
And they're just like, holy crap, Miss L, that means it's like 6 degrees of separation. You're almost part of the Star Wars canon. So it was one of those moments that you're like, oh my God. And I like texted him immediately. I like Facebook messaged him immediately, and I was like, dude, what the what? And he was just like, oh my God. And I said, well, what did your wife say when you're reading this and what happened? And he goes, oh, no, I was alone. And he goes, and I had to tweet it out right away. So it was like, oh my God, that is so crazy.
He was alone. Didn't he say that he
was reading? He was reading the book.
He said he couldn't wake his wife up to tell her, so he just tweeted it, and he said he texted Knapsack about it right away.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm on to you, Christian. The story isn't adding up here.
That's probably what he meant. He was alone, and he was probably like away from his wife, but it was just one of those things.
He was down in some Amstel Light there, so he might have jogged his memory a little bit. So right. That's okay. That's okay.
I don't know. There's so many different facets to Christian. So like who knows?
Why am still light?
Yeah, why?
I don't know. I just saw that. I saw the label. I'm like, that's what he's drinking. Whatever. Okay.
That's
no
awesome.
big deal there. I'm actually not I'm straight edge, so I don't drink. So I don't have a opinion one way or the other. But I'm like, that one is an interesting choice. But
Oh, I didn't actually see it. I thought you just said that. I didn't know.
I'm pretty sure that's what the label was. So he'll probably correct me if I'm wrong there too. But what was interesting, if I may, the elephant in the room from this week in Schmoeville was the Schmoedown. If we want to discuss that.
Oh, hold on. I'm not done talking about.
Oh, you're not. You want to keep hearing yourself talk? Because you. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the craziest thing about Harloff Minor is like just the potential. Like, what's next? Are we gonna hear it in a movie? Like, that'd be crazy.
Well,
Crazy stuff.
I did see that there, in the comments from when he posted that picture, everyone's like, keep mentioning Schmo to her, try or Schmoeville or so, try to get somebody's name in there somewhere, like
Right.
not nudge nudge wink wink type of thing. So if we just keep pestering her, she might put it in. I don't know. Where's that potential going?
I asked him. I said, "How in the world did this happen?" And he said he was talking with he was joking with the author, I think it was, and he was like, just come on, make me canon, put me in there, and she did, and it was like, oh my god, that's crazy. Are you kidding?
It was just really fun to see Christian look like a kid, because there's not very many instances where we get to see something like that. But you could genuinely see his excitement, and he was just glowing from it. And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Ellis. Okay, now you're trying to embrace this Conja Club thing, and it's not gonna fly. Every time someone brings up Harloff Minor, you go straight to that after months of hating it.
Yeah, he really hated it.
Yeah, you've got to bury that, man.
Because people would put that on, the Schmoeville when that first happened with the Conja Club, and it was like, God, this shit's getting old with this. It's like, stop already. And I was like, I kind of said to him, do you want me to kind of put a stop to this? Because I will if you want me to. And he was like, no, it's fine. And he was like, it's just there all the time. And I was it's one of those things, that's what you got to love about Schmoeville is that everybody's so passionate about it and passionate about, these guys and everything, but you're always going to have a group of people that are constantly just going to keep pushing the issue about certain things.
Okay, Paul, let's talk about the Schmoedown. I know you want to talk about it. So we have.
Hey, you're the one that wants to move us along because you got something a little later on that we need to get it going. So let's get it going.
I'll let you go first. But we had Snep versus Finstock, and I thought that this was going to be a bloodbath. I think everyone thought that. I mean, the Twitter poll.
No, I didn't. I called it.
Whoa, okay, we'll get to that. I'm excited to hear what you're thinking. So the poll on Twitter was 89% versus 11%. Snep in favor. Paul, what did you think now that we've seen that Schmoedown?
Down goes Schnepp. I tell you what, I don't know, man. I was disappointed. Man, that's just unbelievable on how, we raised this man. We raised Schnepp up so high to all of his knowledge, and he's spewing artists of comic books on certain pages on certain years, and he's boom, 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 and then couldn't do the Seven Dwarfs. I mean, he really was. It was literally, it was almost like the Indians in 1997 against the Marlins in the World Series. He blew it, and I got deflated. I personally was like, are you kidding me? Finstock wins. I mean, are you kidding it? You could see across the board people booing him, throwing stuff at him, just totally shocked. And I also did notice this too, is if you notice the pictures of the graphics of each Schmoedown, the winner has always been on the right because they've all been the underdog. And it's been crazy. So if we see the JTE Riley one coming up, who's on the right? It's JTE. So I'm scared for Riley's title defense.
That pissed me off, the dwarves question, because Snep just gave that up. I mean, just name 7 adjectives. he said, I don't remember.
Shrimpy, schlimpy, fuck you, and it's like, what?
He said something that was just nothing. Like, it was like what you just did, just babble. Like, you could have clearly just said anything and probably gotten it right, or said any adjectives and gotten it right. But I was upset with that. I think there were a couple like that where I just thought, you're not even thinking, and like, I guarantee you know this. It was also funny. I thought it was crazy that he got asked a Ferris Bueller question from the scene,
and he couldn't. He had to think about it. It's like, what?
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
He got it right, but he thought about it for a second. And well, actually, I mean, that's interesting too. But I was just more so talking about the coincidence that he was asked that question.
Right.
In his life, he was actually in that scene, so I thought that was pretty crazy. So, Leanne, you said
I called it.
You called Finstock. So my first question is, why?
Because I think deep down inside that good old Bobby Finstock he's a mad genius, and I think that people don't give him a lot of credit for being intelligent. And I hate to say it that way, he really is. And he's, it's usually the crazy ones who are very intelligent. How can I explain this?
You kind of are. You kind of are with not explaining it. You are explaining it.
Okay. Do you remember when he had? Do you remember when he was with JTE in the Schmoedown last year or when it was? And everybody's like, "Oh, JTE carried him," and and it's like, actually, he didn't. It was kind of like an equal parts thing.
I did notice that.
I think what people don't realize this because they think it's Finstock and he's going to fold and Schnepp is wonderful and I love Schnepp, I really do, and it was one of those things that you're sitting there going like, pick your jaw off the floor because you could not believe it. But I think that people also kind of don't realize how difficult this is. You're on the hot seat. Somebody asks you a question and you may know everything about everything and you're going to freeze at that one moment. And I think that Finstock he's very intelligent, he's very cunning, and I mean, come on, he defended Josh during his little trial, so it's I don't put anything past him. I truly don't. He's a mad genius, and I just had a feeling he was going to pull it right out, and he did.
So I kind of feel like, since you being a teacher, not me being a special education teacher, it might be with Schnepp, it might be that he can't put thought to thought and then verbally say it. Maybe I don't know if that's something that we could do. No, Ryan, seriously, Ryan.
It's
this
absolutely
is
true.
About learning styles. He might have to write it down and have it be handwritten. So that could be a fault there. And I noticed in the previous games, Ultimate Schmoedowns, and then the tag team matches and stuff, that they actually did write stuff down. Yeah. And so maybe if they bring that element back, that might help out those who can't think on the fly and maybe have to write something down and give a time limit there. And maybe that's the issue with what happened with Schnepp, because it took a while for him to process, and his working memory wasn't really working as much, and so it's a possibility that might have been his downfall.
It was one of the easiest questions on the face of the earth,
right?
And he blew it. Okay, I mean, think about it though. It's just one of those crazy things, but that's happened before. If you look at any of the past Schmoedowns, easy questions completely screw people up. Look at like last night's episode. I caught like a little bit of it last night. The Keanu Reeves thing, where Sasha's sitting there going, "I know everything about Keanu Reeves," and she was getting everything wrong.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? It's that concept. It's exactly, you need a minute to process it because you're going to immediately jump in with something and it's going to be wrong.
Almost like test anxiety.
Exactly. I think that's the only reason that Schnepp didn't win.
Yeah.
But I give a lot of credit to Finstock, man. He kicked his ass. He really did.
The only thing I would say to what you all have been saying is that I feel like he's super laid back all the time. Oh, yeah. So I don't know if there was like an anxiety there, but with like his learning style, I feel like he's pretty quick on Collider. So I understand what you're saying, and it's probably a legitimate thing, but like I just never saw any evidence of it anywhere else. You know what I mean?
Well, he's when he's on Collider, it is his wheelhouse. It is, if it's on Heroes, it's comic books. That's his thing. He can go on and on and on. It's like a savant. It's a savant thing.
But he talks about it all the time.
Exactly.
He talks about it all the time.
True.
So other things might not have been able, like he had to really process that, and that probably wasn't in the forefront if he had, time to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And this is an educational talk, but it is definitely, it goes into that. It does definitely go into that. And then people have different learning styles, so different games that are set in the same way might not work for those with different ways of learning. So
Sure.
I totally agree with that. Absolutely.
thank you.
You're
Give
welcome.
myself a point for me. All right.
All right. So this podcast will probably come up after the fact, but I do like to document who we're picking this week. The belt is on the line. We have Riley versus JTE. What are you guys thinking about going into this?
Leanne, you go ahead first.
I think JTE is very scrappy. He's very knowledgeable. But if Riley gets the right questions, he's going to mop the floor with them.
I agree. That's all I have to say, really. My pick is Riley for tonight. What about you, Paul?
I am going to go with Riley, too. Yeah, I'm going to go with Riley as well. Yeah, I was going to leave you in suspense there for a second, but no. I think what they're really going to do today is pay close attention to the pronunciations of what JTE says. And if he says it, honestly, that's what they're going to do. And I have a feeling something's going to happen where he's going to mispronounce something, and they're going to and he's not going to catch it, and it's going to be his downfall right there. Because because he's so excited when he gets the answers, and he just spouts it out, and he says the wrong thing, and he gets memes about it.
Dude, I got one word for you: Triceratops. What the hell is that?
I have
that's where like the early shows and stuff come into play, because he's been doing this from the get-go. I mean, he didn't just learn to do this. He's been doing this forever.
That's one of those things that you just pick up on easily. I mean, the first time that I ever heard them reference JTE mispronouncing something, I just think, yeah, he really does do that. And, not even being a seasoned fan, that's just one of the things that you pick up on instantly.
If you haven't had an opportunity to watch the episode with the slap, please do. I mean, because he gets clobbered by Rowdy Roddy. Yeah. It is. You're looking at this thing and you're feeling so bad for him. You're like, oh my god! And then when you find out that it was a setup, and he looked devastated. He was like, oh my god, what did I say? I didn't say anything to him. I felt so bad. And it's like, oh, it's on. And they're all like trying to keep straight. The Toad Hop days were so crazy in that respect. They were just amazing.
The only experience I have with the Toad Hop so far is when we watched that thing with Makuga and the Conjuring screenwriters. Just the whole time Makuga was texting in the background.
Makuga used to stand there and he would dance, he would text. I mean, you knew if you were tweeting to him, he would answer you, because that's all he was doing, was tweeting the whole time. And he would totally answer you. He'd be like, hey, what's going on? It's like, hey, boo, how are you today? Oh, I'm really good. And it's just, he was always just so much fun. I mean, he's a wild man. You gotta love a guy like that.
And thanks to Christian for pointing that out during the show as well. We got a little mention. I was excited, and then he just completely threw us under the bus with not picking up on it. And I want to be on record and say I caught it when he looked up, his eyes went wide and walked off. So I saw it, Christian. I saw it. This guy, Mr. Noob over here, didn't make a big deal about it. So I saw it. Just saying.
You guys keep calling yourselves noobs, and it's you're not, though. That's the thing. It's we don't look at people as being newbies to it. Okay. We look at it that, okay, you're coming in at the tail end of 5 and the beginning of 6. So you just have a shit ton of homework that you need to do to get caught up to everybody. You have a lot of episodes to watch. You're not newbies. I mean, newbies is such an ugly little term. You just need to catch up. That's all.
That's so much pressure, Leanne. It's so much pressure. I've got to please the fans.
And that's the funny thing is that you can just put them on. Like if I'm doing like work or design work or something, I'll pop like an old episode on and just listen to it. And that's just kind of what you do. That's what, like I said, when I first started listening to this, I was listening to this on my phone in my car, waiting for my mom to get done therapy.
Since I work from home, I've got certain times during the day, like in the morning when, between my kids and my wife leaving for work and school, I watch the Collider movie talk, and then I start my day, and then mid-afternoon I pop on a either Collider for that day if I can do it, or watch an old show to just kind of catch up a little bit. And that's why I kind of went from the first episode. I wanted to work my way up, and I'm getting through most of it. And that's where I'm at the Katie Sackhoff, Tiffany Smith.
The handover.
Yeah, the handover. So that was kind of cool.
There's a mention of classless horror in that episode too. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That was because Ken was the mad tweeter.
Right.
Ken was the little tweeter, and he came up with classless horror perfume, and it just took off from there, and it just became a running gag with them. So it's I hate to say it this way, it's like when you're watching the show and you're listening to the show, and the little nuances of this, they work so well together.
They do.
They just really do, and they're always on. And even when people, when Christian goes off on these rants, he's so passionate about things that it's like he goes off and you're following every single word he's saying, because the guy that turns around and says, well, what are you doing this for? And he's like, don't watch. What are you watching
oh my
for?
God, I was laughing. I cried.
That was my ass off.
That was last week that I missed, and oh my God, I was so bummed funny that I couldn't get on here and do a reaction to that. But I was crying, laughing so hard.
It was. He said, don't watch. Then don't watch. And I'm just like, oh my God, here he goes. So here's the thing: is that people need to remember this if they remember nothing else, is that is not something that we relish doing. And I'll tell you what, at over 10,400 or however many are in Schmoeville right now, I think we have a grand total of maybe 200 and change that are banned.
Wow.
And that's pretty, when you think about it, that's pretty, and probably half of those are people who just like to put up the videos of the animals having sex.
Jeez.
Honest to God, we get them all the time.
Is that in the extended cut of the Jungle Book?
yeah, don't you know? Did you miss that part of it? But no, seriously, it's when we ban, there's a really good reason for it. We're not just doing it because we can. We literally really hash this through, myself and the other admins. And when we first started this whole thing, we were pretty lenient with people. And we're like, please don't do that again. Can you please not do this? Can you please not do that? And after a while, it's like, how many times are you going to say please to somebody before you're like, okay, you know what? I'm done being nice about this. You're not listening. You don't want to listen, and you're being a ball bag. You're out of here. So, and I always inevitably get the people who will personally message me and be like, can I please come back in? No. Sorry. I think that people think that, like Christian and Mark, that they're actually controlling things on this, and they're not. Right. That's the thing. It's a fan group that I started. We had a core group of people that we all used to tweet together, and we all became friends. And those are the people I brought on as admins. And it was one of those things that kind of kept growing from there, and I had, like Rosika and Tyler and George McCann was part of it as well. And, just all these really great people. And it just kind of bloomed from there. Like we brought in Xander a couple months ago, and here's the cool thing about Xander is that he was always very much on top of actually reporting posts that they're doing this wrong and they're being a pain in the ass. And we're like, he's good. We're keeping an eye on this guy because he's good. So we brought him on, and we just brought Josh on and Brian on as well. And it's, and people are constantly like sending us messages and, how can I be an admin? Don't be a ball bag, actually pay attention in Schmoeville and actually, do the right thing in Schmoeville and please, respond to the chats and do things like that. And that helps a lot. We have a good core group of people, but we're always looking to, maybe put some more people on because we've got so many. And, it's when somebody turns around to you and says, well, my post didn't get approved right away. Okay, well, it usually gets approved within 5 to 15 minutes. Well, it was hours and hours and hours. Okay, well, was it overnight that you posted it? Because that could be a problem. I can't do it 24/7, and neither can the other admins. We have full-time jobs, we have full-time lives, and we do this because we love the Schmoes.
Well, I don't know about you, but Xander wakes me up in the morning with posts that he's either added something or messaged me, or to me, yeah. If I'm correct, and I know Ryan had an issue with this, they are a little further east than we are, at least where I am, and so he's up before I'm up, which is crazy. I don't know what he does, but I see like Xander posts this, posts that, messages us for this. Well, how can I post? How can I get more people to watch your show on YouTube? Or how's the iTunes looking? I'm like, what, dude? I'm not up yet. Give me a minute.
He's our little posting machine. He really is.
He's amazing, and he was doing stuff during when he was on our show. He was posting stuff during our show. He's
our posting machine. Jen Kemp is our meme queen.
Yes.
Love her memes. Rusk is right behind her because they're just the two of them together. If they're throwing these memes out, and they are hysterical. They really and truly are. We have a good core group of people. Everybody has their jobs, and everybody's. We're good together in Schmoeville because we're all brought together by this mutual love of these guys, and we have followed them through Bonnie, through Katie, through Tiffany, through Alicia, Red Fury. We love Red Fury. Alicia's awesome. She really is, and it's one of those things that you wish she could be on, and I want her to be so successful because she's just such a wonderful person. She really and truly is. But Sasha and Miri are amazing. And Sasha just goes balls to the wall, man. She goes.
And we certainly saw that. I put that in my notes here for the show, for this Schmoes Know Show. I have here, where does it say? Let's see, where is it? Oh, come on. Sasha versus Ellis. My note was, holy crap, Sasha, calm down.
She's so passionate. She's awesome. Here's the thing. I would rather have somebody who's going to sit there and actually they're going to get their point across than somebody who's going to cave in 2 seconds.
Right.
And say, okay, you're right. I don't play that way. So I don't want anybody else to either. You know what I mean?
Right. And you know what? I can go on record also as if those people listening. I was not in Sasha's camp at all at the very beginning, and oh my god, I am totally am now. I mean, she has won me over, and I am Team Sasha. She's one of the reasons why I do watch, because again, now they added her to TV Talk officially 100%, and oh my god, that rant. I mean, I look forward to hearing what she has to say in every facet, everywhere she goes. And so I just unbelievable what she does and what she says.
You know why? Because she's making, and she's not just doing, let me just blow up and do a stupid rant. She's got reasons behind everything. And that's why I think this is one of the better podcasts, if you will, and the better shows, because there is reasoning behind everything that they're saying. Yeah. It's not just them being stupid and I want to talk blah, blah, blah. Even when you listen to Ken in the news, I mean, dude, it's funny as hell, but it's right on point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what's so great about it, is that they all have these really great passionate feelings about what they're doing. And that's why this team has evolved from being, it's been Ellis and Harloff and Sackhoff, and Cheese was their dude in the background, and then it's evolved from there, and it's just wonderful how it has. Tiffany was wonderful. JT comes in. Then they had, you guys didn't remember with with Shoesy Pants. Did you guys hear anything with Shoesy Pants?
No, I don't think so.
Shoesy Pants was JTE's arch nemesis. If there was a way for somebody to have an arch nemesis, he was his arch nemesis.
That's amazing.
You got to watch the older shows when he was on it, and just the look on Josh's face every single time. He was just sitting there like, dude, I just know. And I don't know if it's all for sure or what it was, but those episodes with him as a second intern, because here's Josh and he's the intern, and all of a sudden here comes Shoesy Pants, and you're like, bullshit. What's gonna happen now? He's like kind of stealing the thunder there a little bit. So it was a little like snarky there. Gotta watch those older shows.
All right, so as we're moving forward here with the Schmoes Know Show, guys, I had mentioned this earlier too, is the reason why this episode wasn't really a lot about movies, and it's kind of cool because they changed the name of the show, and this episode actually didn't have too much movies involved because they focused a lot on the 2006 picture montage that we finally got after weeks of hearing about it, and then we had the new game. And so if you guys those two questions they posed was the whose picture did you like the most or who changed the most. Did you guys have the same sentiments as everybody else, or what did you guys think of that? I really loved seeing that finally. What did you guys think about that montage that they had?
I'd love to hear what Leanne has to say about that montage.
I thought I caught the montage. That was like one of the things that I actually caught.
I was trying to get you in trouble.
I got home, and I'm the first one to admit it. I got home late. I missed part of it. I got home in time to see the news, and then I did see the montage and everything, and then my internet just kept cutting out. So it's one of those things I have to, it's what I'm going to do when I'm done with this. But I did see the montage, and I got to tell you honestly, as a fan of the show, I know it's a 10-year stretch, but I've been seeing these people for just 4 years continuous, and it's cool to see the people that they've become. Every single one of them, because they're just such cool people. I love how Ellis has changed, because he was kind of like, he's very polished looking now. And these guys with their baseball hats and everything like that. But, you look at them and you're like, these guys right here, these are the smartest guys on the face of this earth right now. Because they took a YouTube podcast and they ran hell-bent on this one, and they got this thing going to where everybody else kind of models after them. They're very smart.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, 2011 is when it really started. And now, I mean, you got 5 years, and in that time, it's just amazing how it's evolved.
I was going to say, I'm actually extremely impressed with the people who haven't changed, like Miri, who I feel like looks the exact same. Tiffany, she also looks the exact same.
See, I don't think so.
What?
I think Tiffany changed the most out of everybody, because she went from being on the show all the time to no longer being there. She's disappeared. She's gone. I don't know where she's been. I know she's super busy, but I need her back on the show. I need Tiffany back on the show.
She's your little crush. Aww.
No, she's my crush.
But I like her insight. I like what she says. She's I want to see her back on, and I miss her on the show.
I missed her on the show too, and the thing is that I think also, she gets people. There are some people that turn around and say, I can't stand her, and it's like, what can't you stand about her? Because she's so knowledgeable, and she brings so much to any conversation that she's having. I mean, for God's sake, she's like the resident Lord of the Rings expert here. So it's it's kind of funny, and people are like, well, I don't like how she is with Finstock, and it's like, for real? That's why you don't like somebody? Come on, that's like a little ridiculous. But we have people that say that in Schmoeville too.
Yeah. But to each their own. They've got their own opinion. It's subjective. Totally. You can't change their own opinions, but sometimes they're wrong. So
I do think it's funny how Ken has like a little ponytail going on now. That's fun.
I did see that, and I tell you what, he to me, honestly, to this time with the news, I'm not sure if he got thrown or not, but he spent a lot of time on the Tilda Swinton Ancient One conversation, and it wasn't as jokey, and I think that's kind of, it ran into even afterwards too with that story, with everyone kind of getting a little uptight about that, and I know that earlier in the week, I mean, we had Ashley talking about that was an issue with her. I forget what she was talking about in that role. There was a role that it was the what was it? Prince of Persia. She had an issue with that. That Gyllenhaal was there, and then we had the rant about Mel Gibson, and then the rant about Tilda Swinton. So it seems it's a huge story, and it really does seem like it's bothering some people, and it's very divisive. And I love hearing their opinions, and I feel it. It is what it is, and we just kind of have to do what you can with what you have.
I wanted to say from the 2006 montage, the thing that it wasn't like the biggest change or anything, but I found this like newfound connection with Copster, because I'm looking through, and I know a little bit about him, with Amateur Hour Films and obviously whatever. I can kind of relate to him, I think, more than anybody now that I've seen some pictures about him, because I filmed some skits with my friends, so I kind of relate with that, and I want to be a filmmaker one day. But there was also a picture of him playing, I think he was playing bass, and so I'm curious if he was in a band, because I was in a band And yeah, Copster. Let's talk about music. And he also had pictures of him playing football, and I played football. So it was kind of like, of all the people that I saw in the montage, like my life looks the most like Copster's. So I'm actually kind of curious to hear more from him in the future. I don't know. That was just something I thought about.
And let's try to eliminate the image of Brett without a shirt on. Let's just move on.
I also loved how
Brett, he's been such a good addition.
He
really has.
We've talked about in the past, too, and how I relate pretty much to him because he has kids, I have kids, finding things to finally watch. And they do the sloppy mustache thing with the end. He gave it a 4.5 out of 5 for this last one. But I think it has to do with he talks all the time about how many times did I fall asleep during it, or at the end of the day, he's so tired with doing all this stuff in the house, and I relate. I'm right now a stay-at-home dad in a way, working from home, so I'm doing the lunches, I'm doing the traveling, so I completely relate to that guy, and I really enjoy what he does, and just want to keep seeing more from that guy, and I'm glad he made it to the main table today.
Yeah, it's awesome when they do get that, like, that shot. Here you go, come sit with us and talk with us and everything, because when you look at it, it's like you just said, when you're a parent, and I'm not a parent, so I don't know this for sure, but you have to make time to do certain things, to see movies and stuff like that. And it's kind of funny that he has like kind of capitalized on that, hey, I haven't seen this, what do you want me to see now? So let's kind of build it around that. And he's just a really good addition. He brings honest opinions, which is wonderful.
Absolutely.
That's what you need. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have found myself going to lots of midnight showings while everyone's sleeping, so I can actually go enjoy something. So you got to make time for what you love, and that's the thing that I've loved movies ever since I was very little. So here I am now. So yeah, Brett, keep doing what you're doing, man. I think I've said that several times, but let's kind of end up here at the personal questions game. Was the last 20 minutes of the show, and speaking of the last 20 minutes or so, we got to get a little moving here. With the personal questions game, I heard, when they first thought about it, I was intrigued, being me, that I'm the innovator, the game guy. For my school, I do a lot of educational games, so I thought, games, let's take a look at it. And I've submitted a couple things to Josh about, a game board, and to see if he could use that. And I was intrigued in this game and how they were kind of replacing the after-hours show, which we need not speak of again, I guess, from what I've heard. So yes.
You guys never experienced those.
I have. Yeah, I have.
Okay, you did.
I've seen a few, and I know where they're coming from, and I really like the way that they're doing it. They use the same kind of style. They if it's not broke, don't fix it. Yeah. So they use the same type of style as the Schmoedown, and they just have this case. It was they read the question, and they pass it off to somebody if they don't want to answer it, and they just answer it without reading the question. And then the new twist I saw was if you could guess the question. And so I took it upon myself to do a game about the game, kind of like this podcast is a reaction podcast about their reactions. I made a game about the game. Yeah. And so I thought that was kind of fun. So if you want to check out Schmoeville on Facebook, we've got that posted somewhere to do. And I've got I got a cool prize actually for those that are doing it. If you don't know about it, and if you don't mind me taking a few seconds here to do that, I a couple years ago I was
sorry. It was my phone rang. Sorry about that.
Okay. That's mine. Yeah, I turned my phone off. So anyway, but Gray Drake had been a guest on one of my high school movie clubs that we had a couple years ago, and she actually mailed me out a prize pack, a rotten and a fresh prize pack with shirts, little keychains here and there, stress balls, and 2 movies. One fresh movie that they've reviewed, and one that is rotten. I have the fresh one still, and the prize for those I almost said students, for those people who do turn that in to the email that I have posted on the Facebook post, is you'll get the Blu-ray of The Hobbit, the first Hobbit movie. Oh, wow. So you'll do that, and basically what you need to do is just download that picture, the game board, and then match the questions that are being released with the answers from the show. And so if you get 100%, you win the prize right away. If by the next Wednesday you turn it in, whoever is got the closest will win that prize. We'll communicate through email and send it off that way. So I thought that was kind of fun, and that added a little more element, and I paid a little bit more attention. I'm not involved in the game, the prize, since I'm the one giving away the prize, so don't worry about that. I enjoyed how much they used Sinead and Ashley and how it was back and forth, and I got to see a little bit more of Ashley breaking out of her shell, because there's always those, if you watch Collider, you'd seen her through AMC days. They were hinting about how she's kind of dirty and a little bit, rotten a little bit to the core, and we got to see that a little bit more with answering those questions. So it was kind of really cool. And then everybody else reacting to her, giving her the questions or answering questions using her as the answer. I really liked it to see a little bit more outside of the movie realm that we normally see. So, I mean, what did you guys think for those who saw it?
I loved Ashley being on there. I thought it was hilarious because it felt like they didn't do it all the time, but it felt like they were trying to get her to answer more questions than everybody else because she was so uncomfortable. I thought it was really funny how she was just like overly anxious, and Sinead just like didn't care that she was there. But it was obviously an issue with Ashley that she was doing this. But no, I loved it too. And I mean, I talked last week with Luke about how I was a little skeptical. I didn't hate the idea of the game, and I understood what was going to happen. I was just a little skeptical, like maybe this isn't for the fans. Yeah, even before they started revealing the questions, I was pretty into it. I still have a few questions. Like, I wrote everything down as to what happened because I was thinking about doing that game that you were talking about that you made, Paul. And so I wrote everything down, and I was going to try to connect the dots. I still have a few question marks by some of the questions, but overall it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, I'm sorry, Christian. I was skeptical. Thank you for being the John Locke to my Jack Shepherd.
Wow.
And what do you think?
I didn't see it.
Oh!
I didn't see it. And that's the thing is my internet kept cutting out last night. So everything that I was listening to, I was ending up with one of those refresher, like every other line out of people's mouths, and I'm like, I gotta bag this tonight because it's not gonna get any better. And I have to reset my router or something.
There we go. So we can be a little lenient. It's not that she missed it because she missed it. Her intent was there.
My intent was good. Yes.
Her internet screwed up. So if you want to bash your internet provider now, so maybe you can get some free stuff, go ahead right now. You can do that right now.
Comcast, you suck.
There you go, Comcast. There you go.
Comcast sucks rocks. There you go.
All right. Well, just to add a little bit extra to that at the end, they did add that element with some of them did answer some of the questions with the answers given, and some of them were right. You can kind of consider that almost like a free space in bingo, or the lead example on a worksheet. So you got those free ones. I believe there were 10 that were done in the show, and that's the only ones we're going to focus on. I know that they released, Copster put on the Schmoes Know podcast channel the extra 30 minutes. That is not going to be a part of this contest that I have for you guys out in Schmoeville. So it's just the ones from the Schmoes Know Show that happened. And again, there were 10 questions, and the game pieces that are on there, I have enough room for, I think, 12. So you're going to have some blanks there, which is okay. Yeah, I'm ready and willing. Just check out that post, what you need to do, the directions. Go ahead and do that, and I can't wait to see some of the results.
Leanne, I do want to hear what you thought of this after the fact. But Paul, I'm curious, like, what was the biggest takeaway from this game? What shocked you the most?
Oh, geez. When Ken hugged Josh for some reason. So here's the issue, though. I know now the answers, so I have the key, and you'll love it, guys. Trust me.
That was revealed. That answer was revealed.
Was it?
Yeah. Leanne, do you care if we tell you?
No, go ahead.
So, basically, Ken reads the question and then goes to hug Makuga, and everyone's like, "What the hell is this about?" Because obviously there's no way to even gauge like what could that question possibly be. Just him hugging Makuga, and then he revealed that the question was, and I'm paraphrasing, like, who would you most want to be involved like in a glory hole situation with? And he hugged Makuga, and someone pointed out and was like, can't you just pick any of the females? Which obviously I don't know how that would work, but I mean you could get creative, I guess. But it's just funny that of all the people, he chose Makuga.
Oh was he standing right next to him?
They're like a seat over, but I mean Ken got out of his chair to go hug Makuga to answer that question.
That's funny. That's
the
really
biggest.
funny.
Well, I was just gonna I'm being honest here, guys. I was trying to be spoiler free for her because she hadn't seen it, so it's okay.
Fine.
All right.
I don't. Here's the thing: is that I'm fine if people are giving spoilers because it's my fault that I didn't get to it right away. So yeah, go ahead. Don't spoil movies for me, but yeah, go ahead.
I don't agree with what you said, but Paul, I asked her if she cared if I told her.
That's okay.
Oh yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I'm fine with it.
He's been dead the whole time. They've been dead the whole time. Let's see.
Oh my God! And it was the butler. The butler did it.
her head was in the box. What else can I? What's in
the box? Come on, man. What's in the box?
Paul, what else we got? Did you watch the Schmoes Know podcast, like the extra footage where they?
No, I did not. I will later. I just wanted to focus just on the show because that's my job, is to focus on the show, not the after show. So I just focused on just the show, and I was kind of distracted a little bit. I will admit. I just got set up with a job interview for a local school district that I'm like Scott Mansing about. As soon as I heard, I was like, "Fucking sweet, man!" Like I was like, "Oh my God!" So that's where I'm at right now. And so
that was a good imitation.
Thank you, Grayson. How was that again, buddy? In there? What did I do when I heard, buddy? Oh, my son's being quiet. He's like, oh yeah, sweet. Yeah. That's kind of how I was. Yeah. So I've got that was a little distraction, so I haven't gotten to see the last 30 minutes. So I'll stay tuned with that Schmoeville on that end, but I'll catch the rest of the show probably after we end our little podcast here.
Yeah, Leanne, make sure you check out that extra bit that they did for the Schmoes Know podcast YouTube channel, because I think in total their show ended up almost being the length of Batman v Superman, if not greater. But if you want to wait, the 4-hour cut comes out in July, so whatever. But
Martha!
Is that all we got, Paul, for the Schmoes Know recap?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say is the highlights or the lowlights, whatever you want to call those lights, of the Schmoes Know Show.
I guess it's time for the announcements, and then we'll head out of here. The only thing I got is that I noticed Christian posted that the Ultimate Schmoedown tournament starts in August, so that is something to look forward to. And he's constantly putting up new matches coming up in May and stuff, so be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, they hit the rankings. The rankings came out too.
Exactly. A huge shout out to Robert Butler III, the brand new intern at Schmoes Know.
Yeah, I heard we got a new intern.
Yeah, welcome to Schmoeville.
Well, if you watch the show.
That's nice. That's nice. I'm feeling the love, dude. I appreciate that.
Nothing but love over here.
Nothing
Buckeye State loves you over here.
Here's the funny thing is that people kind of keep asking us how they can be interns on the show, and it's like, we're Schmoeville. We don't control the show, guys.
Right. Yeah.
We don't. I mean, and I hate to say it that way, but we don't. You have to get in touch with the powers that be.
But yeah, I just wanted to say a huge shout out to Robert Butler III. I don't know. Let's call you Robert. I'm gonna get exhausted if I keep saying Robert Butler III. RB3 rather. You can follow him on Twitter, RB3, and then Schmoes. That's his Twitter handle. So definitely go give him a warm welcome into Schmoeville. And I think, Paul, he's going to be on our show very soon, within the next couple of weeks. I talked to him last night. So
yeah, I saw you jumped on that, man. That was awesome. Thanks so much. I was going to grab somebody else, but hey, man, I grabbed Leanne. This is your shot, man. That's awesome. And just to clarify, his Star Wars name, RB30.
RB3? RB30?
Oh, there you go.
He's like a BB-8 but better.
Sure. Hey, he's done so good. He's done good so far, man.
That's awesome.
And go subscribe to his YouTube channel, because I think he's an aspiring filmmaker. I think his YouTube channel is in the link of his Twitter bio. So everyone go check out his stuff on that channel. That's all I've got for announcements. Do any of you have anything to add? Do you need to say anything about the Schmoeville Facebook group or anything like that, Leanne?
Schmoeville Facebook group is, we still keep going strong. Please encourage your friends, come and join us. And, because it is truly one of the best places out there as far as fan pages are concerned, and they're really good guys and girls to follow, I should say, and we just have a ball doing it, and we hope you guys enjoy being there and being a part of everything, and if there's ever anything that we could do that you'd like to see, by all means, drop us a message and just say, hey, could we do such and such, or hey, have you guys thought about this? Because we entertain all ideas that come our way. We really do. So it's, we're always looking to, help people out if they need it, or if they want to see something special, we will certainly make every effort to try. Don't forget, it is a Schmoes page and not to promote your specific, you review movies for a living and you want to, do it on our page. It's not happening. You're not a Schmo. So, but you are a part of Schmoeville, but you're not a Schmo.
I think I was guilty of doing that when I first joined. I think I posted something that I had done and immediately read an admin message not to do that and deleted it immediately.
We had somebody do that at the very beginning when we first started, and we had the guidelines kind of established, and it was like, please don't promote yourself. I mean, no disrespect, but we're here for this, not for you. And we had a guy he just did not get it. And it's like, how many different ways can I tell you? Well, what if I just change this? Dude, it's still your opinion. And I don't care about your opinion. I mean, I don't care about your opinion on this movie. You're not mentioning anything with the Schmoes. You're just putting your review up there. And kind of went around the bend with him. And he eventually, well, I don't like this group. Oh, okay, bye. I can't stop you from leaving. I mean, good luck, Godspeed, all that good stuff. But it's really kind of funny when people will do that. Well, it has everything to do with the Schmoes. They would want us to talk about movies, yes, but we're also here to promote the Schmoes.
Exactly.
So that's what it is.
But basically, you're a badass. So awesome.
I wouldn't say I'm a badass, but I mean, I
hard ass. How about that?
I like our page run the way it's run, and it's
slightly irked ass. Not bad. Slightly irked.
I'm kind of like a Starbuck when you think about it. I mean, it's, because it's funny because Xander posts a lot of things, and, Rosca does his memes, and Jen does her memes and everything, and everybody's like kind of floating around. And I just I'm very stealthy. I'm in the background. If people don't think that I'm watching things, I actually am. I see everything that goes through, and I'm like, okay, guys, please understand. I've been around longer than you have. And I will be around. I will be around at the bitter end. Okay, so don't. I've been through a lot with these guys and with this podcast, and it's truly a labor of love. And if nobody better touch my baby, I'm just saying.
Leanne, is there anywhere else that the people can find you other than the Schmoeville Facebook page?
They can follow me on Twitter if they are so inclined. It is at Anne LeCouter. It's LALECOUTER. I'm always like posting little stupid things every now and then. And we also have a Twitter for Schmoeville, and it's literally at Schmoeville. I do believe it's at Schmoeville Fans is what our address is, if you can believe that. And which is really kind of cool, because immediately when we started it, because we just started it a couple weeks ago, and immediately when we started it, somebody else turned around and started another Twitter right behind ours that they were fans of our page, who's a fan of the Schmoeville page. So we're like, what the hell are you doing? Like, they took our little meme, and we're like, what are you doing? And it's, oh, we're telling people to go and visit you, and it's like, I don't need you to do that. It's fine. Please don't do that. So imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, I guess. I don't know. There are some people out there who curse us sometimes, but whatever. It's all good.
Like Paul says, let the wait. What do you say, Paul, about trolls?
What's that? That the I don't know where you're going with that one. You threw me off guard there. The trolls are well rested and bald.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. That's right.
It's and, here's the thing. I don't mind trolls. I really don't. But when they start getting very snarky, that's when I have a problem with trolls. So if you're gonna troll a page, I don't care, but don't start shit. Don't do it. I'm telling you. You're not gonna win. Let me just say that.
I agree completely. Paul, where can the people find you online?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at the Mr. Wolf. That's WULFF for those of you out there that can't spell wolf. There's thousands of spellings. That's my spelling there. There you go. That's where you can find me.
And you can find me on Twitter at Film Beef Snell, and you can also find me on the Film Beef podcast. Last week we reviewed Midnight Special. This weekend it's a double feature. I'm reviewing Keanu and Green Room, which I'm really excited to watch. So definitely check that out. You can find that on iTunes. Anywhere you can find the Schmoes podcast, you can find mine. And also, I just want to say we are on iTunes now. So if you, I know a lot of people listen to the Schmoeville podcast on YouTube. I think last week we had our biggest week. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for listening. Definitely check us out on iTunes as well. I think it's a little bit more convenient to listen to a podcast that way and not on YouTube, especially on your phone, because with Android phones, when you turn your screen off, YouTube cuts off. So, but anyway. That's there for you guys if you want to listen to our podcast that way. I think that about wraps it up.
Thanks for the follow, Leanne. Leanne, thanks for the follow.
No, thank you. Thank you guys. I just saw that too, so thank you very much. Guys, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on, and I hope I didn't completely bore you. I'm trying to be the Mance of the Schmoes. I'm trying to know all and serve all for the Schmoes. So.
You were amazing. Please come back.
Absolutely.
Very soon. I'd love to have you back on. Maybe when you've actually seen the Schmoes Know Show.
Burn! Ouch, dude.
I think that's the third time that I've grilled you for that. I'm sorry.
You burned me on that one, man. That cut me to the core. I feel like a bad fan because I haven't seen it.
No.
I'm really good about seeing these, and it's funny because I got a message from Christian. He goes, "Well, what did you think?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to see the whole show." And he's like, "Oh, that's okay. Just watch this for okay."
I was so busy. Last week I was a terrible fan. I hardly watched any of it. But this week I haven't watched Jedi Council yet, and that's like my favorite show because they throw out Jedi Council back to back with Schmoes Know Show. So sometimes, depending on how busy I am, I have to sacrifice that. So anyway, no, you're not a bad fan at all. I was just giving you a hard time. And don't worry. I'm a super fan. Don't worry. I think people in the comments will be quick to defend you for me grilling you on this. So don't.
They're going to be like, "Wait a minute. Why did you have this crazy chick on?"
Leave me alone.
With all that being said, I have got to go. This was a great episode. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Leanne.
Thank you so much.
We will see you guys later in Schmoeville.
Yes. Peace out, mother Fs.
Oh, that's amazing.